Last spaces of the year. Adam, can you believe we've been doing this show for almost a year? Started this, like, I think this first or second week of January. So
I literally just posted our 80th episode. So
how crazy is that? In 1 year, we've been putting some work in, man. The channels, just thinking about the entire year. I started the year at 10,000 followers. Now I'm at 20. Remember that? It was like 2 or 3 days before the new year hit 10,000. Now it hit 20. I think you've also grown, like, I think around 50% from 30 to 40 something because of the bells. You're now the shitcoin leader, meme coin leader. Somehow you stumbled into that. It's been a crazy, crazy year, man. Emblem's gone through the whole Bitcoin ordinals phase to ETH subscriptions to stamps to Jesus. We'll get into all of that. But how are you feeling now, looking back at the year of what a crazy year it's been for Emblem, for us, for the entire industry.
I think it's fitting that the Twitter inscriptions things happened yesterday, because it's almost like, 2023 is the year of the ordinal, right? And if we all remember when Casey first launched ordinals and he went on that, I don't know, whatever it was, Coin Desk or whatever that TV show was, and he started bitching about shit coins, and and he went literally crazy. People were like, "What is this? This is madness," right? But he got so mad about shit coins and stuff, and yet all ordinals did, not all, but the vast majority of what ordinals did was trigger this incredibly ridiculous meme coin bull run. I mean, it's everywhere now. It's on every blockchain, and it came onto Twitter yesterday with these Twitter inscriptions or whatever people are calling this thing. I literally have people in my DMs and the old historic NFT Discord like, how could you be shilling that? I'm like, bro, shilling? Come on, man. This is ridiculous. If you don't see this is ridiculous. You're not paying attention. This is ridiculous. I'm in part of it because it's fun, but this is complete ridiculousness. I mean, are these things worth anything? Of course not, but it's still fun to do.
Yeah, if one thing Casey got wrong is dying on the hill of hating BRC20, only to see it proliferate on every other single blockchain and massively successful on all of the other ones. So that is a hill he's going to die on, and I think he's taken a lot of flack. But yeah,
I mean, that he came out so strongly against shitcoins and stuff, and yet you joke about me being the shitcoin king, like he is the shitcoin king. I mean, he is
not yet.
Not yet. Well, dude, he is already, and then it's going to be like when he does runes, it's going to be whatever it is times infinity, right? Yeah, it's going to, the intentions, I think most of us recognize the intentions with Casey are pretty solid, but you can't stop people from doing whatever they want. Like that's part of the joy about, blockchain and freedom technology, is that you can't stop people from doing this stuff, and you can ignore it. You don't have to do it. But you can't stop them. And I think that's always awesome.
Yeah, let's get into runes here in a second. But first, appreciate everyone for coming on. If anyone wants to join the conversation, speculate on the future, feel free to join us on stage. Please make sure you retweet the space. It's pinned to the top. Make sure that everyone could come in and join us. Then I'll pin a few other things. For Emblem Vault, we do have a new sales bot that is live. So make sure that you follow that account. I'll pin some tweets up there to the top so that you can follow along. We have some big things coming for Emblem next year. But first and foremost, GM Chris, how's it feel now? You're like, I think a month and a half into working at Emblem. What a crazy year it's been. How are you feeling?
Yo, final show of the year. It's been crazy. Congrats on growing Emblem so far and growing your accounts and just putting in so much, quality work into the space on such a kind of tough year. We think back a year ago, we were already like deep into a bear market. 3AC collapsed, Luna collapsed. It was just brutal market. And then to top it off, just almost like a year ago, SBF collapsed. And it was just like, man, we have to keep climbing this hill in the industry over and over again. So it was just kind of really, really tiring. But now, a year out from there, everyone's having fun again. We're back on track to where we should have been a while ago. So a ton of progress was lost, but a ton of progress has been made back. And I think 2024 is pretty obviously going to be the biggest year for crypto so far. I think that's pretty fair to say. So, and a huge year for Emblem going forward. So super pumped, and I think we're going to ship some quality stuff. Looking forward to it.
I agree. And Solana is just going to keep pumping to like $1 million, right?
I mean, ETH is just such a mid-curve trade at this moment. You have like the rock of Bitcoin that's just like, I do nothing. And then ETH is just trying to be everything. And then Solana is just like, I go fast. And then the Bitcoin and Solana kind of meet in the middle. And so I think that's a cool Emblem product that'll probably make its way to mainstream in 2024.
Yeah, I agree as well. Dogfather, it's been a big year for you as well. Your follower account has grown. You started a new meta protocol. You have a new analytics kind of dashboard, a whole community following you strictly just for the numbers. How is it going? And man, tell us a little bit of recapping the year. How do you feel about the trajectory you've been on so far?
Hey guys, what's up? What's up? Yeah, how much time do you have? It was like crazy. I mean, just summarizing up the whole thing. Yeah, it's been quite a ride. I mean, obviously, Ordinals rescued my year. I was deep, having my illiquid bags with historical NFTs. Nothing was pretty much going on. It was boring. Everything was down. And then Casey came around the corner, and people like listened to his lore, jumped on the bandwagon. And I thank Leo because I was just waking up once he tweeted about Bitcoin punks. That was my start early February. I ignored it for 1 or 2 weeks. I was like, what the heck? I mean, this is nothing new. This is like colored coins and what JP Jansen was doing back in the days. Who cares? And I was like taking that a bit more seriously. Growing also my account a bit while doing that. Doing the Friends protocol, which is like now suffering from these high fees, but we still build on that with the Oddbit team. And yeah, just recently figured out that JDog is building BTNS, a new token standard. I think we will talk about that in 1 or 2 weeks once it's a bit more clear where this is going. Yeah, it's been an awesome ride, and so thanks you guys, and thanks Emblem to have me as a regular speaker here. So it's so much fun supporting each other and rocking these spaces.
Yeah, it has been a fun year. So I pinned to the top something I posted this morning so we could kind of feed off of this. I've been tracking this inscription coin market leaders literally for like 3-4 months. It's crazy. If you go to like the posts and go to the replies, I continually link the previous weeks or previous updates. My first update for inscription coins had 4 tokens on it. I was literally it was like 2.5 or 3 months ago. And now I literally can't post it without getting yelled at for not including a certain token. Everyone just gets so mad. Like, what about STX? What about Base 20? What about Pulse 20? What about this 20? What about Twitter 20s? It's just like you can't even keep up with all of it at this point in time. But it's exciting to follow, right? You look at this chart, and I'll pull it up here in a second. You have Ordi, which is at 1.4 billion. I was looking at .sats, and CoinGecko had not a full. It didn't have it only had the FDV, the fully diluted value. It didn't have a different tracker, so I don't know if there was something missing there. Although I know it is the total supply is out, so I just put Ordi. ETH eScriptions, man, is really blown up. I think the ETH token has gone up like 4x in the last few weeks after Tom and Michael added a bridge. I think it was like a bridge feature, and then also Bitmart has stepped into the game and added ETH for centralized trading. I think this is going to be something to continually follow. This is, I guess, one of my big speculations for 2024 is I think this like inscription coin market, as I have been saying all year, I think it's just going to be a new form of token trading, and it's just going to be exactly like core market cap is, but for every ecosystem. Because inscription coins, in my opinion, are just retail coins. You don't need really any type of technical understanding to really deploy a lot of these, right? It's just like a simple kind of JSON mint. Where if you want to deploy a coin on Ethereum or Solana or whatever, you're going to have to do a bunch of research. You're going to have, just beginner to moderate level understanding of how to deploy a smart contract with the tokens. It's expensive, yada, yada, yada. Here you pay 1 gas fee to deploy, and then everyone gets to mint. And also it's a decentralized mint. So, there could be maybe in 2024, 25, when you see different types of policy being crafted in terms of fungible tokens, I could see a future where you see a separation of inscription coins versus these like smart contract coins, just because of the way of how they're sold or the primary distribution, right? That's the big thing. And here, all of this is like really decentralized minting, at least for the most part. I'm sure there's people trying to bot it, and
for sure.
And right, they deploy it, and then they have 100 different accounts trying to mint it to pretend that it's not just one person doing this.
Yep.
But I can't see this slowing down. Of course, at the top, you'll see a bunch of these probably, whether the top is towards the end of next year or beginning of 2025. I think probably the beginning of 2025, because the bull markets tend to extend 3 to 4 months, it seems, every single time. I just see these ecosystems growing, and it's all going to build off of whatever happens on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is now the market leader, not just for inscription coins. Bitmap is now trending all over, right? You had inscriptions. I don't know, Adam, what do you think is going to happen in 2024? Is Bitcoin now the prime leader, and are inscription coins that are set to take over?
I don't know. I still, part of me still thinks, well, these are just shit coins, and I understand the dynamics of it, and especially these, because most of these, are at or near free, so it's very inexpensive to get into these things. So you can ape into just almost at infinity, right? But I still think that even though this feels very like it feels we're in a bull run, it just has that feel. And that feel for me is like, oh shit, what am I missing today? That's the feel where I feel like, wow, we're in a bull run right now because I'm missing something today. But I still don't think new people have come into the space. I still think this is existing people who are in crypto already, are just we're churning on our own money, basically. That's what my gut feels like. And I'm still, is this going to be the thing that is the 2024 bull run? My brain still thinks it's something different. I still think, we're not going to retread a shitcoin bull run, but I could be wrong. Maybe it is shitcoins all the way down. And this is like, you tell me, have we ever done like just shitcoins as the bull run?
Yeah, 2013 was just altcoins. I mean, that was the beginning.
Yeah.
2017 was just ICO shitcoins. It's just packaged in a different form. It's literally
and this is a very different form, right? All of those were from teams or centralized, or somebody else released the smart contract. While in theory, at least, these are much, much fairer mints generally, right? And it does have that different vibe to it, I'm not discounting that. That is, what Bitcoin punks did on ordinals was a new way to do something that was pretty revolutionary. And I think we all like it. I mean, there's no doubt retail loves this method of distribution. Feels very fair, although it can be gamed, obviously, but everything can. So yeah, it's got that kind of vibe to it. I don't know, man. It's just, it's everywhere. I mean, this is all I'm seeing on my timeline. I have no idea other than Solana. All I'm seeing is coins and tokens and how people made, 10,000x on their inscription, so it's tough to say. It could be this could be it, man. We could just be looking at shitcoins 2024.
Inscriptions 2023, inscription coins 2024. There will definitely be something else that emerges. So I pulled up my first inscription coin market cap leader. This felt like 3 months ago. It was literally November 7th. And Sats was the leader at 265 million. ETH was $56 million market cap. Doji was 1.8, and Light was 1.2. Of course, Light is just going to forever be the laggard until one market decides to adopt it, and then it'll probably just shoot out the roof. But it looks like compared to this, Doji is up the highest, which is up like 50x from that tweet about 2 months ago. I think Stamp is up a little bit more, but I don't think the marketplaces were really in that good of shape yet at that point in time.
It's funny because the stamps, those actually cost like real money to inscribe, right? If you wanted to do whatever, Stamp or Kevin was actually the first one, I think. It wasn't like $1 like ETHscriptions or 50 cents like ETHscriptions. It was like $60 to do Kevin. I mean, that's why I don't know if I did a few stamps. I actually have some of the very first deployments. But they were so expensive, dude. I mean, if you remember.
You're talking about stamps, the asset versus
SRC20, SRC20s.
Oh, the SRC20. Okay.
Yeah, the SRC20s were so expensive that I just didn't, at least at the time, most people weren't like fully aping. And they were around for a long time. It was a slow mint because they were expensive. It wasn't really till the BRC20s, exploded that people were like, oh, let's mint this stuff out. Because it was expensive to do stamps. Stamps are the outlier.
Yeah, I got burned on some of the SRC20. That was when it was still on Free Wallet and using Counterparty. I tried to mint it, and then JDog censored everything, and I just kind of lost it all. I don't know what happened to it. It might still be there, honestly.
It's probably still there, man. Just wait a decade, man. It's gonna be worth millions.
Yeah. Now JDog is just removing stamps in general from Free Wallet. So if you guys didn't hear that, make sure you get your stamps off of Free Wallet, because he is going to prune those. Not literally prune. He's just removing it from the interface of Free Wallet. So I don't know if he announced that publicly yet. I did see that recently, though. So make sure that you do that.
I mean, do you need to move them off, or you can just import your private keys into a new wallet, basically?
Yeah, but some people are going to freak out when they don't see it on Free Wallet. They're like, what the fuck happened here? And it's just a UI change, but they're still there. They're still associated with the private key. So just wanted to note that. Speculating then where we go from here, there's two different directions we could talk about this stemming off of Bitcoin. We could either go talk about runes and what we predict with runes, or what's going to happen with all these maps, which is kind of fun. If you look at Magic Eden, we'll start with that. If you look at Magic Eden, Bitmap is clearly the winner there. It is almost 2 times the amount of market cap now Bitcoin Frogs, which is the second place. You now have Open Soul Map. I saw today somebody was posting about Cardano Map. I think it's called like Card Map. Right. I saw Stamps was doing one called like Stamp Map or something of that nature. The metaverse is back in play. I know, Adam, I know you hate digital land, but how about digital land that doesn't exist? How do you feel about that?
We're too early for the metaverse, man. I'm still like, even 21, I was like, this ain't going to work. VR, it's too early. The maps, I think for miners' perspective, they were fantastic, right? I don't see it at all. I still don't see it at all. But again, I mean, I've been so wrong in this cycle on things that I was like, this is so stupid. And the maps are honestly, they're tippy top. They're the tip of the spear as far like I get BRC20s many, many times more than I get the maps. So I still don't get it, but again, just because I don't get it doesn't mean that I'm right and that maps can't be like this important thing. I mean, obviously I've been completely wrong on so many things this cycle. But yeah, I still don't get it. I just think I'm like, what is it? I don't get it.
One thing I like about it, and I'm actually pretty bullish on it. I'm still the original minter, I guess, in Scribor. Still holding. One thing that was kind of enlightening that I was looking at recently is this thing called BRC 420. Have you seen that? It was on Magic Eden.
No, what was that? And
it's a standard, and it's kind of what I was advocating for back in the summer when I was talking on my podcast with Benny and with the Block Runner guys. So BRC 420 is an indexer for metaverse assets for Bitmap. And so it was it was created by what's called Recursive. I think they changed their name to called Bitmap Tech. And basically, they just created their own standard for metaverse assets. And now they're selling there's these like blue boxes that are like mystery boxes of metaverse assets, like avatar. I'm assuming avatars and clothes and vehicles or whatever it is. And because they went and built this, and now they're just completely leaning in, they changed their name literally to Bitmap Tech. They're just going to start building out the universe. But whatever ends up being this like operating system or general SDK for Bitmap is going to have to integrate these multiple, maybe even dozens of types of different meta protocols and different types of standards, which is kind of what I was talking about in the summer, where I was saying what I thought was going to happen with Bitmap, and I think I used the wrong terminology for this, was that there's going to be the equivalent of every Bitmap, or whoever owns their Bitmap plots, there's going to be dozens of different types of standards that govern these different types of plots. Some will be 2D games, some will be 3D games, some will just be, hey, use this bitmap for whatever kind of financial product that happens. Like wrapped bitmap is already happening. And there's probably going to be one general indexer for those who just want to plug into whatever is accepted as like this universal bitmap standard. but some people who own large plots will probably just end up creating their own BRC, whatever standard that indexes the plots of land to whatever exists. So I don't think it's going to be something like Sandbox, where in Sandbox, you have 100,000 or whatever the supply is, X amount of those plots of land. They all operate under essentially the same indexer, right? Because it's universal whenever you walk across it, or Decentraland. Everything is the same. It's the same rule set across all of these. I think Bitmap's going to be completely different. I think you're going to see literally dozens of different types of standards that govern all these different plots, because it is so large. But also, I think that's what drives a lot of the speculation, is that it could be literally anything you want it to. There's no central authority, really. But I think there will be one authority, probably Track will be the one that is like the baseline for people who don't want to go out and kind of customize their different types of plots.
It's I mean, you look at some of the big winners, and I know you probably know some guys personally, I do too, but some guys who won huge last cycle were early metaverse adopters, right? Who sold. You had to sell. If you rode it round trip, you round tripped huge. I actually had my most valuable piece, which I didn't buy a lot of metaverse, but I was actually gifted. It was some game. And what's that? There's a big gaming studio. They sold, what'd they sell? They sold like nodes and all this sort of stuff. They made like billions during the last cycle. And I got a plot of land on this game that's, it's still not out. It's like, 5 years in the making, right? This epic multiplayer game. And man, when the guy gifted it to me, it was like, 0.15 ETH. It ran up to like 9 ETH. And dumb old me was like, nah, this is the most valuable real estate in the metaverse, And I think I checked it, 6 months ago or something. It was, 0.3 ETH or something. So yeah, if your maps pop, guys, take some profits, man. Take some profits.
Yeah, or just funnel it all into Doge Map. Go ahead, Dogfather.
Yeah, I mean, at the end with the bitmaps, it's only some that are really valuable. Others, they just you can sell them, but I mean, with the current fee levels, you're not making that much. So I think it's rather long-term hold for most, and definitely taking profits doesn't hurt, right? So it's it's a lot of fantasy in there, that there's something going on, and it's a nice narrative. People get it, and yeah. But typically I'm wrong too, Adam. So a friend of mine who is always right. I mean, really, every call is right. I don't know. He has a crystal ball. He has 1,000 or so. So I think Bitmap will have a huge future, because I only have like 10 or so, and not the cool ones. So it will definitely blow up. Yeah, looking forward to that. I mean, it's cool to have metaverse on Bitcoin. It's cool to have art stuff. It's cool to have the shit coins. It's cool to have different types of things, gen art. So it's good to have a broad ecosystem. So I'm definitely looking into that.
What do you think, Chris? Bullish on the map metaverse, or are you bullish on the OG metaverses, which is kind of weird to say from last bull cycle?
Yeah, I think that just in general, metaverse, it's a kind of like NFT, just kind of like a curse word in the industry. It's just so terrible of a word and a theme. But I think that that's one of the things to watch for going forward in 2024. The technology has kind of advanced a ton. Spatial technology has advanced a ton. Just kind of these in-game interactions and in-game ecosystems of virtual worlds are just kind of going crazy. You see something like Roblox or any of these other virtual worlds, they're worth hundreds of billions of dollars. They have millions and millions of monthly active users. So I think 2024, you probably see a Web3 crypto native digital world that reaches 1 million users per day.
And it's going to be those holding Bitmap, doing absolutely nothing in the metaverse, just holding it for dear life. I don't know, man. I mean, last bull cycle, everyone was pissed off and saying there's too much land. If we're operating off of these, Bitmap is equivalent to 800,000 plots of land. Doge Map is 5 million. I think Solana was like 2 million plots. You're gonna have Light Map and Cardano Map and all of these. It'll be interesting to see how they're utilized. I think a lot of those will end up just being more financialized than anything, because I kind of look at Bitmap right now as a fungible token with right, or you could just call it a shitcoin, or what's it, a shitcoin with images,
Yeah.
which is what Kobe said last bull cycle. I think Bitmap is even more, of a standout case of that, because they're literally they're traded very similar in a fungible like manner. So I think you'll see a lot of these kind of heavily financialized with wrapped Bitmap and whatever kind of DeFi stuff comes to Bitcoin, or even cross-chain stuff, right? Like, I'm sure we'll probably do this at Emblem of some case. So you just create a curated collection, and now you could take your bitmaps to whatever chain that you want to do whatever kind of weird speculative stuff. I'll never fade, the experimentation in the space. People, if there's an opportunity, people will try it.
Absolutely. And they'll take it to any, if there's an liquidity possibility, they will do anything they need to do to access that liquidity. I mean, that's what, obviously, we've seen it with Emblem a bunch, and I have no doubt that, people will do that in the future. The maps are awesome, man. It's so funny, like that this is the thing. Maybe it is just like you just said, it's shit coins, but with locations, which give it a better
shit coins with the GPS.
Yeah, with the GPS, they give it a better vibe than just a straight shitcoin, right? Because if you have a shitcoin and it's got 1 trillion, units, well, what's the value, when marketing, when Lambo, but if it's a map, there's this promise of something happening, right? My gut still, and I, until proven otherwise, my gut still is like the number 800,000, or the other side where it's
5 million Doge. Yeah, other side's like 200,000.
Yeah, when it's 200,000. I mean, when Yuga came out and it was like, we're gonna have 200,000 plots, I was like, that's a zero. That's a no way does that work. Because I've seen, obviously in NFTs, you have a 20,000 collection and it's almost death. Like, look at Meebits, right? Look at, Curio. Curio luckily has like some slivers of scarcity, but look at Mooncats. How Mooncat struggles to keep any sort of floor price when you just have that 20,000 number is just really, really tough to overcome. And you throw another zero on the end of that. Oh my God. But I do like the way you're framing it as, oh no, these are just shit coins. That makes it more interesting from a pumpamentals perspective, I guess you'd say.
Ponzinomics, sir.
Ponzinomics are strong.
What's up, Dima? And then we'll go to Chris right after.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me on. Always love these spaces. I think that something's being overlooked with how these inscription shitcoins fundamentally work, in the sense that if you're somebody who trades for a living within the regulatory framework of the United States of America, like a crypto hedge fund or something like that, these on-chain protocols allow you to trade shitcoins and withdraw to Coinbase, as opposed to having to trade shitcoins on some kind of centralized exchange that you actually aren't allowed because of regulatory frameworks, right? And I think that's actually a really strong value proposition for BRC20, TAP, Stacks20, Cough, like any of them though, to be honest, because if you can transact on Coinbase with the underlying, then you can engage in shitcoinery. And I think that's underrated, actually. Like legally, as a hedge fund, or even if you're just like I don't want to say professional day trader of shitcoins, but these people exist, right? So yeah.
Yeah, on-chain shitcoin trading. Before I do call to Chris, though, Dima, I think you guys did break stacks with the XTX20, man. Some of my STX still haven't cleared the mempool. It's been almost a week now at this point. What did you guys do, and how am I going to trade STX efficiently?
I have two answers to that. Well, three. The first one, which is the shortest one, is Nakamoto. Give me Nakamoto. Is that coming out February? Is it coming out April? It remains to be seen. I think the target right now is February, but we'll see. So that's like that's the golden ticket, the golden goose, let's say. But the other two answers are your transactions should get dropped after 256 blocks, and then you can just try again, as well as you can boost your transaction. However, the way Stacks miners select transactions is not fully based on fees, which is not, it's not entirely clear how they select transactions to be included in a block. And then the fun answer is that there is a group of people in the Stacks 20 community, as well as people on Stacks, as well as just people that are bullish on Stacks, that really want to start running miners for Stacks, which is a bit of a barrier to entry because you have to run a Bitcoin node and a Stacks node, and you have to put up some BTC in order to mine Stacks. That's how it works. But if we can sufficiently grow the mining pool on Stacks, and there's actually a lot of interest. When I just floated this in my Discord, I got a bunch of DMs. There's a lot of people that are like, tell me how to do this, and we may join. If we get enough people to become Stacks miners, we can create larger block templates that aren't these shitty 500 block transactions that a lot of the miners are doing because of a combination of old software and incorrect config settings. And we can actually have more miners that are pro these massive, chunky, girthy blocks that we've seen, these like 5K plus blocks that would effectively, if there was like one of those every 20 blocks, the mempool would not be clogged anymore. That's pretty much the math on it right now. So there is a group of people that are working on that solution. I'm kind of spearheading it.
Hold on a second. Tell me how I haven't talked to Munib yet, but how is it possible? Stacks had years to prepare for this, and it's not fucking ready. I just don't. How did that happen?
Oh, more or less, you create a blockchain, you create a framework for mining, and you actually can't tell miners what to do. There's no way to enforce what miners do. You just, you create a piece of software and a framework on how to mine, and they can find loopholes within that to curtail any, soft rule that you may have. So there's config settings on the miners, and the miners can decide what kind of size blocks they want to push through. And unfortunately, there's a lot of miners running an older version of the Stacks node that's compatible with the current fork of Stacks, as well as there's a bunch of config settings that are causing them to not push these massive blocks through.
Can't we need just spin up an ASICs farm to get this thing done? What the hell, man?
I know, but actually,
he's a fucking billionaire. Come on, call up TO, spin up the miners, man.
Yeah, I don't think it's as simple as that, but
it's just all I'm saying. It's kind of disappointing that they literally wanted traction for Stacks all this time, and the first time they get any significant traction, the thing just implodes. It's not a great look, just to be honest.
Dude, you're preaching to the choir here, right? I've been running analytics on Stacks since March on our site, and it's very funny how many new people are reaching out to me, and they're like, wait, the network's so slow, what the hell? And I'm like, you're new here, you must be new. So listen, we have a lot of interest in, like I said, running new miners, picking up these massive transaction blocks that Stacks is very capable of doing, but miners are just being dicks / lazy / haven't looked at their mining software in a while. It's a mixture of all three of those things. So yeah, we're trying to get more miners online, as well as the block rewards of these 5,000 transaction blocks are fucking crazy because there's so many degens padding fees on all their Stacks 20 transactions. So let's wait to see what happens. And if you want to follow along with this mining situation, I'll be tweeting about it and see if we can kind of get something off the ground.
There's your 2024 prediction. Shitcoiners take over the Stacks mempool and the Stacks miners, the mining hash power. So there we go. What's up, Chris?
Lazy miners is kind of a funny term. Their whole incentive structure is to actually get to work. But Adam touched on a kind of a cool thing that I think will be a big thing in 2024, which is just collection sizes of NFTs and how we actually view them and interact with them. I think kind of the 10K collection is a good starting point, but I think actually there will be some breakthrough use cases of NFTs, probably ticketing, things of that nature, different real life mainstream use cases. And you'll see these collections in, the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands as they're just able to be produced for cheaper, whether it's like something on Base, Coinbase's chain, layer 2, or something like compressed NFTs on Solana. And so I think the way that we fundamentally view these NFTs is going to change a lot this year. And I think the collection sizes are going to get a lot larger as we invite a lot more people that are from different financial backgrounds into the space.
Ooh, that's a really good take, actually. Pretty hot take. Where do you think that transition is being pioneered through? What blockchain? Do you think it happens mostly on Solana? And do you think the change in perspective towards larger collections is due to the emergence of Bitmap, or do you think it's just something that's been progressing over time?
I think it just has to do with the cost structure and just kind of how cheap we can get these done. There's one of the biggest apps on Solana is called Drip House. And what they do is they just kind of distribute and highlight artists of large, and the artist produces a specific collection for Drip, and it sends out hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of their work to wallets that are signed up. So it's a good way to promote the artist and the work that they're doing. And it's an easy way for people to collect these things for free, basically. So if you look on Solana, Drip has distributed millions of NFTs, by far the large majority of any producer on the chain. And so it gives a way for users to interact with these chains and collect these digital items in a different way. And I think that is a trend that is going to explode in the upcoming year.
That is a solid take. I really appreciate that. We'll come back to Solana here shortly. What's up, Dogfather?
Yeah, just my comment on collection sizes. I think on ordinals, we'd rather see the opposite. If it's not the free mint, like Goose and Bitcoin Punks and the like, I think we still see lower supply numbers, like with the Ninjas 2000 OMBs, they are smaller. While if you have a free mint, that's a different story, also with bitmaps. But if it's really like a community and a paid mint, the ordinary community is still relatively small. In particular, those collecting artwork, that we rather see smaller collection sizes.
It is really interesting when you kind of compare the two, right? Solana between Bitcoin, one has pretty much instantaneous transaction confirmation. One takes at least 10 minutes. So they trade pretty much differently. One's catered more towards like collectors, one's towards traders. But I think what Chris was kind of getting at is that over time, you'll kind of see a lot of these ideas converge, or at least, some of the habits, I guess, of each type of chain. I mean, it is a pain in the ass with Bitcoin where basically the miner fees are 400 or more, and then your transaction takes an hour, and then all of a sudden the trade escapes you, you're pissed off. But what I've noticed is people you have to prepare more to sell on Bitcoin, right? Like, especially if you're going to sell BRC20s, you got to basically pre-inscribe your transfers and then try to time the market, which makes it a little bit more, causes a little bit more friction. But in terms of value, right, that's what you want. You want more friction because, there's a lot more higher upside in terms of for it to become more efficient. So I think runes may change that a little bit, but we'll go to that shortly as well. What's up, Prism?
GM guys.
GM.
Great conversation. Yeah, I think just being in the ordinal space for the last year, we lose track of how much bigger other ecosystems are. And so, I really like what Femojis did, right? They've got their Genesis collection, then they expanded into a 2.0, OCM bridging things over. SkullX has done a couple things like that where they've added into the collection in different ways. And I think this will probably be the smartest way to do it. But there's also like this meta, right, of all these free mints, things that we're accepting on ordinals that we may not, we kind of learned through the last bull cycle that maybe this isn't the best thing for holders or collectors. And that's sort of found its way here because just fees are insane. It's so hard to get a big collection on. And so I think there will be somewhere in between where you've got to start a little bit smaller and kind of grow it from there. And we'll see what happens with these fees, man. It's going to be really difficult for, projects that are trying to do more than just like a free drop, to actually get their footing. And so I see a lot of these projects that are here today as probably being the leaders for a long time, unless these bigger projects from other chains come over and start doing things here that already have, their collector base.
Yeah, a 2024 prediction I could see would be a large, maybe ETH NFT collection, but not limited to. Could just be a large brand in general coming in and acquiring some sort of like sub 10K or sub 100K collection, and then using that as a parent-child and building upon that, right? Because it might just be easier to say, hey, let me throw $2 million towards this set of 5,000 ordinals below this number, instead of trying to inscribe it and waiting days and then kind of revealing the plans. Because as you know, right, anytime something gets inscribed, it goes onto ord.io and then it gets upvoted, and you kind of lose, a little bit of that kind of hype and mysterious vibe. So I could see somebody coming in and acquiring a smaller collection and then building up off of that. I mean, I know Leo inscribed like a sub 10, I think it was like 10,000 below 100K, which he has offered to sell. I don't know if he ever did that or not, but I'm assuming there's probably a handful of people who've done that. So that'll be kind of interesting. I don't know. You'll probably see a lot of larger brands coming over. We're already kind of seeing this with some of the Solana teams coming over and doing some sort of ordinals collection, even if it is 100 or in, DGod's case, 535, I believe. I don't think that'll slow down. And also the multi-chain thesis, which we've been discussing here and what Emblem's been practicing since 2020, I think only continues to grow. Ivan was listening to Blockworks. It's one of my favorite kind of podcasts, and they were talking about bridges being one of the major 2024 trends. But I think they mean bridges in terms of fungible tokens. So we're still a little bit ahead of the curves in terms of bridging, quote unquote, bridging NFTs. But I think as NFTs continue to grow, some people are going to want to import that value to other ecosystems. I think it's just Bitcoin still lacking some of these Bitcoin Oracle value props, so that you can be able to trace value. Or maybe you see Chainlink come in and say, hey, we're just going to create an Oracle for everything on ordinals, which I could see also happening. Just people converging, not even native Bitcoin companies. Yep. What's up, Dogfather?
Yeah, with the parent-child possibilities, you just need one really cool ordinal, either very early or pretty cool or culturally significant. And then you build your whole collection as a child or a grandchild below. So you don't need 10K or, 1K or so, just one cool one. And if you have the marketing power, you get the eyes on your collection, then you're ready to go. So that's, I think, also the value proposition for lower inscription numbers outside of collections, that someone is picking them up and using them as a parent-child, kind of like grandfather.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting when you think of 2024 trends for ordinals. You think about kind of like the maturation of a community, what comes next, right? All of these assets have been created, all of these meta protocols. I do think by the end of 2024, I think we'll see over 100 meta protocols, is my opinion. I think you'll have a meta protocol for everything. It'll be just the equivalent of like deploying your own indexer for your own meta protocol will be probably the equivalent of just like deploying your own smart contract. And that's why I think Track is positioned probably the best of this. They're the one that's going to be providing the majority of that. You will probably see a lot of competitors come up and try to do what Track's doing. Maybe even see some heavy infrastructure companies come in, like I said, like Chainlink, because they do basically the same thing, but for Ethereum. Come in and say, hey, we're just going to do this as well. So you'll definitely see the market competition increase. But man, I think, going even speculating further, 2025, 2026, I think having a successful meta protocol on Bitcoin is going to be like the biggest flex of all time. It's because it's gonna be so much competition by the end of next year.
To have one that's successful. Yeah.
What do you say?
To have one that's successful, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And the way you think about how you jumpstart these meta protocols is that everyone just starts minting the first asset of that protocol, because that essentially becomes kind of the treasury reserve for that community. You just see it happen time and time again. I mean, my pinned post at the top just shows, right, all of these different meta protocols. I mean, there are different chains. So I think we're just going to see a massive explosion. It'll probably get simpler, whether Track is the person who does this or some other tooling, and they say, hey, here's like, you could basically create an indexer out of the box for like no coders. I think that's when you see real explosion. But meta protocols to me are kind of just like these like little villages on Bitcoin because it's all off chain. You know, it's all off chain tracking, right? On chain, I guess, data, off chain ownership. And it just gives a lot more flexibility. And I think from the Bitcoin community, seems that's what everyone's really doubling down on is that, hey, things just operate differently here. On Ethereum, you have on-chain ownership, off-chain data. Here on Bitcoin, it's on-chain data, off-chain ownership. And I guess whoever that blend is will be the person who takes it all home and kind of combines it all together. But
well, we still need to convince the world. We lose sight because we're so far in it. But we need to convince the world that you can own digital items still. Like most people still don't. Like 99% of the world doesn't believe that to be true, right? And like I agree with what Chris said. Like this idea of larger collections is totally possible, but we have to convince the world that you can own digital items first, right? Like once that happens, then it's like steamrolled. And I do know because I have a 17-year-old kid and he gets it. Because he's a gamer and he's bought Fortnite skins and all the rest of it, so he gets it. But we have a huge curve ahead of us to try and convince, you know, every teenager on Earth that they can own digital items when their entire lives they've been told they can't. Right. So for me, that's like the biggest challenge in 2024. And I do think gaming has the biggest opportunity. Like Chris mentioned, Roblox, and thankfully the CEO of Roblox has mentioned NFTs. That they're very possibly going to go in that direction. I think it's going to take something like that to really make the next like massive impact.
I agree. What's up, Prism?
Yeah, this parent-child thing is this will be interesting when it's actually built into Ord and it's widely available. So what we've seen so far is you know, the services that sort of hack it together, and it's really inaccessible. It's costly to do, but you know, what if we see collections that are intended solely for parent-child, where, you know, collection is put out as, you know, as marketed as parents, because you do actually own these assets. And once you have that ordinal in your wallet, you can do whatever you want with it. And so it'll be interesting to see if this is sort of a way to expand collections where you hand that into, you know, the community's hands. I think it's a really interesting idea. So I think we're going to see some really cool things there.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. One of the most exciting things I think is runes is what everyone is talking about. It's supposed to happen to April. Let me just sit on this idea for a second. Casey, the fact that he went out against his own community and basically tried to wipe all the entire BRC20 community off of ordinals by creating this competitor chain, which is now going to take 6 or 7 months since when he originally announced it. It's supposed to mint in April or begin, right? He, you know, from a leadership position said, hey, my strongest community, I'm not a fan of, right? And he said, so I'm going to create a competitor. Caught a lot of people off guard, caught me off guard. I still think is the horrible leadership decision, but understanding Casey's personality, right? He kind of likes living in chaos. He likes living kind of on the fringe of what can happen. So he's creating this essentially shitcoin casino that's going to launch in April. And, you know, some of the details surrounding it is very gamified, right? It's like you don't know what's the first token, but they're all numerical values. But then, right, I think it goes up to, what was it, like 16 or 32 characters is the first.
Crazy.
For the ticker of the first
this
one.
Is one going to be available for a week? It's 32 characters long. What? Yeah, I don't know, man. That's where I think there is this. I mean, we discount it because it's Casey and we expect it to be successful, but it's really hard. Like doing a launch of anything in this world, there's a potentiality that it fails. I don't think he will fail, but there's certainly that potential, man. When I first saw that an initial plan of like launching the token numbers, I was like, this is a terrible plan. Like it was years before you got into low numbers, right? And it was like, right, so I'm going to be looking at a 32-digit number. Get at it. Like it just doesn't make any sense.
As the ticker.
As the ticker.
Coin, yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, ENSD gens will like it, right? They'll start. Will probably be the popular.
But then the low numbers are like it's 20 Bitcoin to do a 4-digit. It was like, what? Crazy, dude. I just, it didn't make sense. So maybe he fixes that come time, but maybe not. And people hate it. I don't know.
Dude, the thing is, since he announced that, I think it was around like September, something like that, the BRC20 ecosystem has just exploded across every other chain. I think it's only just reinforced the idea. So I try to think of like, what are going to be the narratives that pop up when it finally does launch. You'll probably see it pick up probably in March, probably a month before, right? What are the some guy named Frank is saying you rug them, Adam, bells to zero in the comments. Sorry for restarting a chain. You think about like the competing narratives, right? And it's like BRC20 at that point, right? It's either goes to zero or it's like around, right? I think the entire BRC20 ecosystem's like 3 billion or 4 billion. It's at some point, it'll only grow larger. And the narrative that I see is more kind of this like pop culture kind of narrative where, Casey won the person of the year for was it CoinDesk or Cointelegraph, right? Inscriptions are everywhere. 2023 is obviously the year of inscriptions. And the headlines, creator of Bitcoin ordinals launches new fungible token standard on Bitcoin. I don't see how that does not get headlines, but also like attracts new capital is kind of how I'm seeing it, right? You'll probably see some of these VCs, some of these capital allocators come in because it's, reinforced by Casey's reputation to come in. But the sustainability, I think, is the big question because you have now 30, 40, you could have 30, 40, 50 different, fungible token ecosystems on Bitcoin by the time that actually launches. I could see it pumping. I think finding what the popular token is going to be the first token is going to be 32 characters long, right? So, is that going to be the one that everyone apes? Does it set a new paradigm?
Yeah, but it's all ones, bro, or all sevens or all eights. It's like, what? I mean, I don't know. Dogfather, do you have any inside info? Or are we missing something on those numbers? Has that been updated by Casey or anything like that? Are we missing something?
Yeah, so when I heard about runes and Audi was at like $4 in September, I thought, okay, this is going to zero. So ask me anything. I know stuff about the future. So it's very hard to say. I mean, you can imagine a world where everything is like pumping till April, and then people take their liquidity and jump on runes. I mean, people are not used to that standard, and now this superstar, is launching a new thing. I mean, people will like just take their liquidity and jump on it. And I could imagine a world, even if you have a long token with many numbers, just create a cool, icon. If you have like many numbers, just, take the first ones or just have, they will find a way to make it sexy. I mean, all the marketplaces, the marketing departments, they will already think about how the token logo may look sexy on their website and everything, make it super simple. I think this is gonna be wild, but maybe it will fail, but I think it will be wild.
And then you just see the slope, right? Like, okay, this is going to get implemented on every other blockchain again, right? It's going to be another slipper. That could be, the second leg of the shitcoin bull run. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, runes is UTXO based, so you only see that on Litecoin or on Dogecoin
or on Bells.
Or on Bells, right? Bells runes, right? Runes.
Bells. Well, apparently I've rugged everybody. Bells is closed. Sorry, guys.
We'll talk about meme coins here in a second. Kane, what do you think on it? What do you think about runes?
Not smart enough to have an opinion.
Is that it?
I know it's not a popular thing to say. If you ask me about like Mob Deep lyrics or the proper way to make a breakfast omelet, shit that I know, I'm gonna whip out the answers right from the holster, bang, bang, bang. But you go like, hey, Kane, what do you think of Quidgibos? Do you think they have a chance to overlap the Plumbus in 24? I'm gonna be like, yo, bro, you've outkicked my punt coverage, and I'm out of my pay grade. But I'm dumb. That's why I'm honest about my stupidity, and I know the things I know. I don't know the things I don't, and I'm smart enough to get the fuck out the way.
You realize most people don't know anything about this, man. This is all just blind. This is just blind trading. It's ultimate stupidity.
Yeah, you guys, Bruce Willis. I realized that I remember I was a fucking stockbroker, like from 18 to almost 30. So half of what you do gives me a visceral reaction in my spirit gut. Which is, so think about your spirit. It looks just like you, but kind of see-through and blue. Its gut goes upside down when I see what you do every day. And financially, your strategy is Bruce Willis diving out a window backwards, still shooting, yelling yippee-ki-yay and Merry Christmas or some other shit. That's what it looks like. But Skrilla is in a fucking Hojo's with Bobby Zoo, cracked out with the windows closed on fucking Slolana, having the greatest time of his life, but not really, but he is, but not really. So, I just stay away from it, and I just try to bring orange slices like a soccer mom, make sure everybody stays hydrated.
Got it. All right. Thanks, Kate.
Wait, real quick. Music. I think music in 24, I know people have been saying it since like 20, but I think this is the year that the groundhog sees its shadow.
All right. I love that. I mean, how could you not be pulling for musicians and music redo on the music industry? But we'll see. We'll see, man. There's people still shooting the shot, and we all know people who are successful, musicians who are successful in Web3, but generally still feels like there's a big nut to be cracked there. And I'm excited to see if somebody actually cracks that nut.
It's the thing with artists, whether you're creating digital art or music or whatever in the NFT space, it's about trying to find that product market fit, but you have to match it with the right incentive structure. We talk about this a lot. Every time we host kind of an art or creator focused space, ultimately it's unfortunate, but kind of the idea around it's always like this idea of like, I need to be supported, right? All the artists generally kind of have that air about them, and that's not like a take on it. It just shows that the right model has not been produced yet for artists. Obviously, royalties kind of satisfied that for a while because you don't have to come in and say, how can you support me, right? Buy my art, buy the music. Royalties didn't encourage artists to do that because they were making royalties on it. But now, with that not being enforceable on the smart contract layer, at least yet, right? What is that new incentive model for creators? Maybe that's something we see in 2024, whether it's for music being the breakout case, or for traditional digital artists. That sounds weird to say, right? Or whatever this new medium is. I hope we do see something like that, because I have not seen anything yet that really sticks out to it. I don't know, Kane, do you see anything in the music or tokenized music world that's a potential breakout use case?
I do. It's the same use case I saw when I first got here, which is turning this into penny stock JPEGs, or like the music side of the space taking its cues from the PFP side, is like it's the big bopper crashing into the mountains. It's not, good intention, but it's not going to fucking happen because a large contingent of people think music should be free. And what I have to explain to people is, if you want to present a proper value proposition, like a real one, you have to understand that 80-90% of the audience you were talking to, you're no longer speaking to them. You're only speaking to potential super fans.
Yep.
A super fan is not a customer. A super fan is not a rube. They know your backstory. They know your lyrics. Talk to them nice. Treat them different. Like, I'm a bigger Wu-Tang fan than anyone in this room. Not because I think it. Because
How dare you, sir?
You
don't know me. You don't know me.
Sir, I've had lyrics off in the middle of the street in Brooklyn. I come out victorious. I know the words to every song, skit, interlude. I know everything. Like, I memorize it. It's like scripture for me. So as a Wu-Tang fan, when I went to the Wu-Wear store when I was a kid in Staten Island, and the motherfuckers tried to sell me a $100 t-shirt, I was shocked, because there was nothing that reflected how big of a fan I was that was within my price range. All I could afford was a $20 sticker. And that was crazy. But I bought it because I wanted to leave with something from fucking way out in Long Island. It was a long way to go. But with this, you can really turn the funnel upside down and target your super fan. The problem with it is, for most artists, is that, and it's a fucking hot take, they're fucking lazy. Like, No, and I don't mean that.
And we generally suck at marketing. So yeah, it's both, man.
No. Most people suck at marketing.
Yeah.
Musicians especially are a very lazy brand of artist. And I'm not talking like, hey guys, I'm a real hardworking, here's a humble brag. No, I cite the case of Koch Records circa 2002. Everyone was going to Koch because the money was quote unquote better. Because really, a major label spent like teenage Saudi in the Versace store level money. They blew money on you all through the last 5-6 years, ran you up marketing wise. Now you want to jump ship and profit off their hard work. The problem is now you can't fly private. You're not first class no more. There's no big coach bus with your name on it. Now you got to do all that shit. And they didn't want to do it. A lot of guys were like, yo, this indie shit is it's a whole different animal. No, it's the same animal, but you ain't got the game on easy mode no more. And the independent artist grind isn't for everybody. So when they're like, hey, Kane, how will this be viable for most artists? It fucking won't. How is touring on a shoestring budget viable for most artists? It fucking isn't. If you're not a people person, this ain't for you. If you're like stage persona is Axl Rose, but deep inside you're fucking Bill Gates, bro, we're gonna peel that off of you out here. There's some super sick artist niggas that they're gonna catch the inconsistency in your shit, and then they can't sleep till they dig into every part of your backstory, pulling old police records and doxing the shit out of you. That's what's here. If you're not good at being you for real, the Web3 NFT crypto space just ain't gonna fly. So there's a lot of artists who are super talented, and while there's a good value proposition for their art, they're full of shit as people. So they can't make it click here. Then there's other artists who they're really who they are, but their work ethic is dog shit. So that doesn't work for them either. This isn't a for everybody place.
Well, I mean, look, most artists generally has no value, generally never sells, right? And combine that with the digital realm, where for the last 30 years, we've gotten accustomed to, free. And I'm doing air quotes right now, free, because we pay with our eyeballs and we pay through ad revenues, right? So we believe digital items should have no value, literally have no value.
That's what you think. Hold on, but you're who I'm talking about. You're not allowed to talk to him anymore. See him? He ain't your audience no more. See, he thinks he should fuck you, then give you dinner if it was good. Doesn't work that way. Turn your funnel upside down. Vinyl record purchasers, they already understand this. You're not going to onboard your fan base because your fan base is this guy.
Yep.
He thinks your music should come. And this is not being funny, but the music should be included with a $10 subscription that you don't pay because it's free with your Hulu or your car insurance. I'm not talking to y'all. My album is not going on Spotify. It's not going on.
How do we onboard those 2 billion people though to believing?
You don't. You don't.
Come on, man. That's what we're here for. The big vision, bro. I mean, I understand what you're saying from an artist perspective. Look, artists have to make a living, and you need to hyper go after your super fan in the Web3 space. You're 100% correct. But how we onboard the next billion people to actually understanding digital items and ownership of digital items, like, you got to be a little bit excited about that. That's like an amazing opportunity.
The people who think I need those people are the same people who convinced me that 0.0033 cents a stream was fair. Get a lot of people.
That's more than fair, dude.
5 million. What I've made off Dust, no humble brag. I'm just being transparent. What I've made off Dust right now in the last week and a half, which is bullshit because I haven't even started yet. Once it goes through Emblem, it's a whole different story. Off just right now, Dust sales, 3.2 million streams. That's what it would have took to make the same amount of money. I can't do that. I will never do that.
Sure.
Not possible.
Yep.
So I can fight a losing battle and die every day like Groundhog Day, or I can do something different and understand that a couple, not even 100 people are more important than that 3.2 million.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of Web3, right? For at least musical artists, I mean, really artists of all stripe. I think, who do we have? Oh, Art Jedi's up. Did you have something to say?
Yes, hello. First of all, I've been listening to all of you, and I'm going to make a summary of it and share it. I want to say one thing. It kind of made my blood kind of not boil, but it's got adrenaline to come and say this. This thing about artists have to make a living, and they have this. Yes, they do. They do have an air of helplessness and a general air of support me, but at the same time, who doesn't? Like, if you don't have a job, do you not have a air of helplessness? The whole idea of this blockchain technology was to empower people with creative ideas and kind of make it more leveled field, right? And I think the biggest hurdle is information. Information doesn't kind of travel in ways that it should. And so especially if in Bitcoin, my prediction, and we'll have this recording, if the information highway doesn't get more leveled and is more accessible, and I understand that it's it's still building, it still has infrastructure happening. But if it isn't flowing freely to everyone to understand it in a way that makes sense, it's not going to work for artists in the long term. And that goes for all technology. And this is me. I've supported artists, hundreds of artists in the last years, and no one has the time to sit on internet, on Twitter, hours after hours to do this, because they just don't have not just the creative endeavors, but also families, and especially mothers. And like, how do we make it more accessible to everybody? I think the information isn't flowing properly to anyone. I think that's something we need to address to make it fly a little bit higher.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the art space, so I think we were talking about this 10-20 minutes ago, is still looking for that breakout use case that offers the right combination of incentives and I guess appreciation, or the super fandom that we were talking about before. Still looking for it on the right chain. Seems to be the same issues across each chain. Let's hope that in 2024 could be something different. What do you think, Prism?
Because just one sec, I think because Bitcoin has really tried to emulate what's happened before it on Ethereum and all the other chains. If it had tried to kind of do things differently, things would be a little different. It needs to be like, if you're just looking for superstars and just everyone should be a superstar in their little community. That's the way it's going to have some kind of mass adoption.
Yeah, I mean, there are going to be native standout stars. I think that's kind of what the Bitcoin art space, at least from, I don't follow it too closely, but from what I've seen, right? Like Billy Rusty is probably like one of these native Bitcoin artists that's really blown up, utilizing different things that are native to Bitcoin, like rare sats or different types of inscription styles, like the one you just did with BitBlocks. I think that's kind of what you're speaking to. I haven't really seen any real large, or you'd say, popular NFT artists from other chains come over and really find, an insurmountable amount of success to where they are considered the leader in the art space on Bitcoin. It's really all native individuals from what I've seen, but I think Prism would actually have a better response for this.
I mean, that's generally, yeah, I would agree with you. I think there have been some that have come over and done really well. Like I see Solemn down there, but Solemn is one who came in, understood the constraints and figured out how he needed to work around it. And now, he works in, P5 and all other things into his glitch art. And so he's kind of combining his style with what's native to Bitcoin. So I think that's really interesting. But going back to what our Jedi was saying, which I think is a really good take. I think just in general, this whole space has started with the impression of like, this is freedom and we can do everything on our own. And this is the freedom that blockchain gives us. But here we are. And it's not necessarily the case. Like there's a reason why all these things are set up in real world, art and real world music. And I don't agree with all of them, but there are certain things that we can pull into this ecosystem that would be beneficial to everyone. And so, I don't think artists should be completely on their own out there, marketing their art and creating and managing a community and, all of these things that pull away from what they're really interested in. And I hope as we go forward, we can start to see things like what we have built where, we can take on a lot of that responsibility and leave the creating up to an artist. Because if you work with others who kind of fill in the gaps to what you're not necessarily interested in or what you're not really great at, I think it's a win-win for everyone. And so I hope that as we kind of go forward, that can be leaned into and be a benefit to artists, so they're not just out there on an island by themselves.
So you're saying curation is the most important thing moving forward for art space on Bitcoin?
I would say it's important. I wouldn't say it's like the most important thing, but I would say it's important to offload some of those responsibilities from artists and be able to kind of step into something that gives you a platform where you don't have to work so hard on those things outside of creating.
So this space is called 2024 predictions. What are some of your takes or predictions for art on Bitcoin in 2024?
Well, I don't want to shill too much, but what I've seen over the past year is, fees have gone up and up and up, and you can look back in the past, 2 months, and you see a lot less art being inscribed, a lot less projects getting started. Everyone's sitting there, watching the mempool and kind of holding off for the right time. But what we're able to do is onboard those artists without them, worrying about those costs, and we just kind of work everything into, the release and all of those things and manage the distribution and all of that. And so I think something like, banding together with others is really going to be the path forward. It's just going to be generally harder for art to be put on chain. But things like what we've built at Counterfeit will become increasingly more important over time if we do expect fees to be where they are.
Yeah, I don't think fees are going to slow down. I think they're only going to continually increase. I mean, next year, and I'm already seeing some posts now, more DeFi products are going to come to market, which is only just going to increase the transactions, which is only just going to continue to, increase that flow of fees. So whether it's an L2 or cross chain or whatever, there's got to be some sort of solutions. I mean, even doing recursion, right? That's supposed to be a 50 to 90% discount. Still putting at today, still going to be a few dollars to do something. If it only increases, right, then it's going to be $10, $20.
Yeah. And I'm sorry to jump in front of the hands. I just have one more thing. We brought over Pop Wonder last week, who's a pretty well-known artist on ETH, and it onboarded quite a few new wallets to Ordinals. But this piece was, I don't know, I think it was around 300 kilobytes. So it was about 3/4 of what you can possibly get on chain. This, the cost of doing something like this, even with recursion, it probably ended up being over 0.2 Bitcoin.
Wow.
And so even when you think about putting out more editions or using recursion, it can still be very costly for an artist. And I don't think everyone should be expected to kind of take on all of those costs.
Yeah, cross-chain recursion, man. I'm gonna keep talking about it until it actually happens. You can just host that file on Dogecoin or on Litecoin and pay a fraction of the fee. It feels inevitable kind of at this point. We'll go to Art Jedi, then Kane. I don't remember who was first, but
I want to hear from Kane first.
all right, go ahead, Kane.
I'll make it very quick and say if you're tired of all of those very high transaction fees being all up in the videos, you got to shrink your file size down, all the way to the bottom. Come to Counterparty.
Hey, the OG,
Boom.
the OG itself.
I'll put 9 gigs up there. And you know what it cost me? $20. Where's my metadata stored? Same vault as the Nakamoto card. It's like having your money in a mafia bank. No one's robbing it. Fucking wonderful.
Like having money in a mafia bank. What's up, Art Jedi? What else are you thinking?
And that's why we love Kane. But I think that's just it for 2024. The community, like the leaders on Bitcoin, have to decide whether, like, what is the use case for the blockchain, right? For Bitcoin, if artists are already thriving on other chains, what's the point of coming to Bitcoin? And for me personally, it's the immutability. It's like it's there if it's minted or inscribed. I think that's like the highest and most attractive thing for me. I came to blockchain with the idea of legacy on all of those things. So, but then the gig in terms of curation, just had one point. We have to be so careful about when it comes to curation. It's already gate capped in terms of financial prowess of people to be able to even play in that field. And when additional kind of measures are placed, curation is important because collectors are coming from different backgrounds and they, in general, have no idea of art history or anything. And I think that, on one hand, whilst education is always good, but on the other hand, also opens up for people to just be themselves and just buy the art that they like, rather than being told by the tastemakers what's good and what's not. So I think 2024 would be a bit more defining space for Bitcoin in terms of what does it want to be: gaming, metaverse, just shitcoins, or some really actually high quality fine art.
What about hard money? Hey, what's up, Profits? How you doing?
We left that in the past, Adam.
Yeah, that's right. No more hard
money
money
anymore.
Profits, you lurking? What are you doing?
What up? What up? How are you guys?
Great. What's going on? You got any
No,
predictions for us for 24?
We're going to 0.
There you go. I have a 2024 prediction. We'll see an art-focused meta protocol on Bitcoin, right? If there's going to be hundreds of these things, I don't see why somebody doesn't just create an art-focused one and just say, hey, here's the best opportunity. It has curation packaged with it. It has the most efficient style to create art. I don't see why somebody just doesn't do that. But
you can do all like the inscriptions first to like create the base layers that people could then use as like parent-child and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, man.
If I was in focus on art, I would probably just get with Benny and just be like, hey, I need to create an art focused meta protocol. Help me index the stuff and let's figure it out. Would kind of be the approach, but I'm just a talking head. What do I know? Who else was coming on stage? All right, one final thing I wanted to talk about and speculate on is meme coins, right? It was by far, if inscriptions was the most popular hot topic of 2023, I think meme coins was definitely a close second, with Pepe really starting it. And then the meme coins went to every chain, although meme coins already existed. It actually just repackaged what shit coins are, but just threw a meme on it instead. And then meme coins then came to, or shit coins came to the meme coins, right? With Doginals, and then NDRC20. And there was just a post by Bells I saw that just posted that they've inscribed there's 69 unique Bellscriptions sub 200. So that's already coming to market. That was posted during this show. So Adam will probably have to run and retweet that, right? Yeah. So Bell 20 is probably going to come at some point.
Definitely.
But it's interesting. I do think like 2024, I think you'll see a much more of an emphasis on all these UTXOs, maybe even see some new proof of work UTXO chains spin up, because now you have this opportunity to have a native kind of non-fungible ecosystem that didn't really exist before, right? So a lot more attention. One of my grander kind of hot takes was, I think some of these older chains, inspired by when Bellscription and Bell 20 find success, you'll start seeing people go back to things like Dash or like Neo or some of these older pre-2018 coins and start doing the same thing, start living out the original visions again, right? One of the example I think I used a few weeks ago was Peercoin, right? That was actually like one of the first cryptocurrencies I bought back in 2017. And it was this idea of a proof of work chain that's supposed to be like decentralized video streaming. And now they have some tools, but now they can actually like build non-fungible assets that are equivalent to whatever that original vision is. right? Decent opportunity, but with Dogecoin specifically, we're starting to see, we saw DIPE pop up, which is like Pipe's take on Dogecoin. So it's the first kind of UTXO coin, right? UTXO trading style on Doge. I think Doge DeFi is something that could be an interesting proposition, especially now with Track moving into Doginals and starting to index. I think the exact same playbook that you see on Bitcoin ordinals is going to be run to a larger volatile degree on Dogecoin once you have some of this more proper infrastructure. So I think that is an ecosystem to be paying attention to. Of course, I post about it a bunch because I find it interesting.
Yep.
But if you see this happen again on Bell's coin too, now there's 2 meme coins that are doing the same exact thing. I think then why doesn't it just follow the same playbook of 2023 and just do it down all these other chains?
Totally possible. I think, the one thing, and this is like a little insider baseball, although you'd know if you were in the Discord with us, but Bell's actually has an opportunity. They're basically putting out, updating the protocol, to make it far more friendly for this sort of stuff. So in a way, Doge kind of locked itself in back in 2015, 14, 15, where they made these kind of decisions that they were forced to make at the time to keep the chain running. And, which make it a little bit harder to kind of be open to these protocols. So Bell's actually, believe it or not, has the opportunity to be more flexible and more kind of open to these things. So I'm excited. Who knows what's going to happen with it? It could stop tomorrow, but I'm excited to be along for the ride and try and, build out some stuff, which somewhat honors, Billy's vision, which literally was supposed to be like a marketplace for items. Like that was his original. Yeah, it was literally supposed to be like, how can we have like a marketplace to sell stuff? What we would think now of is like an NFT marketplace almost. And we got some we're so fortunate. I don't know how it happened to have some amazing devs. So, I'd give us a pretty good shot. I would not. We're definitely better than 0% odds of it working.
Yeah, I mean, moving into 2024, we're about to go through what is this going to be? Crypto's 5th bull run, I believe. You have 2011, 2013, 17. Yeah, so 5th. And there's so many native ecosystems. We talk about this at Emblem a lot. A lot of what Emblem came in the beginning was for immature ecosystems to come in and access the different type of functionality on Ethereum, more liquidity, more tooling. But all these native experiences are improving. And I think especially this run with more capital coming, or that's going to enter the space than ever, I think it's important to really just focus in on a few ecosystems and not try to, run yourself too thin participating in 10 different inscription ecosystems. And then you want to get into RWAs on Solana, right? And then you want to get into DeFi and Ethereum. And then you want to do whatever's the newest thing on Bitcoin. Some advanced traders could probably do this, to a high degree. But also, I think it's important to have a focus on participating in ecosystems that you find fun and interesting for the most part, because there is going to be endless amounts of opportunity out there. But I've been in, this is now my 3rd bull run that I'm going to be participating in. And dude, there's bull run fatigue. And you don't want to hit that fatigue before the last half of that bull run, or else you will literally miss out on everything. Right. And so really just focus in on my advice is just focus in on what you find most interesting, and maybe even follow some of the people that you see on Twitter that are talking about some of the things that you're interested in. Become a leader there, and that's where you're going to make quote unquote generational wealth, is finding the bottom of a few ecosystems versus trying to spread yourself across 20 of them or so. NFT, thanks for waiting patiently. What are you thinking?
Oh, good. It's always a good listen. And obviously, with the technology that you're running, you guys are always among the most insightful caps on the block. You've been dealing with future products for quite some time, so I'm always eager and excited to see what you guys are working on. And when you mentioned Peercoin, I know you said you just got into it in 2017. They've been around much longer than that.
I think 2013, right? Or 2014 is when it was created.
Yeah, around 2013, 2013 to 2014, because when I launched Gamerholic Coin, this was the very first cryptocurrency for video games. It was a clone of Peercoin. For the main reason being the proof of work, proof of stake combination for cheaper gas fees that worked perfectly for video games. So as soon as I heard someone talking Peercoin, I knew this cat was a.
Well, you launched it a decade too early, man. If you launch it today, it's $1 billion company, man.
Bro, I would be a freaking billionaire if I kept it up. It was on BitChucks for 2 years. There's actually a video that I have on YouTube. I pitched it at TechCrunch in a room full of the who's who of Silicon Valley, this and that. Nobody knew what the hell I was talking about. If I just kept it up for just another year and a half, 2 years, after that pitch landed with a dud, that's when I just kind of moved on to other things.
So
Hey,
are you going to
timing is hard, man. Sorry, go ahead,
for us? You going to spin up peer scriptions for us?
No.
Hell no. That's a hell. I heard a hell no in there, Jake.
I mean, all these obviously on-chain NFTs, fantastic. All right. I don't know if the collector globally are going to find that much value in it for to have it be a market that spreads across all blockchains. Right. I'm still confident in the Emblem Vault model of smart NFTs. The NFT is attached to a smart contract. The smart contract will hold a basket of assets. I mean, my prediction, if I'm to make one to stay on topic, is when ETFs pass, all right, Ethereum will officially become the banker's blockchain. All right, if they want to transfer a basket of assets efficiently, they're going to be using this token-bound NFTs, smart NFTs, soul-bound NFTs format, where you can have an NFT that has a plethora of tokenized assets in it, and you can just transfer all those assets in one swoop by transferring the NFT. Right, and little by little, by the end, by year's end, you see AI playing more of a part in it, where AI is going to be making way more NFT trades than humans. Right, Ethereum is just going to become unusable for the regular folks. If maybe not next year, but definitely that's the way the technology is going to go for my insights. Right, so smart NFTs, I think, have a much better long run in actual use cases and societal use cases than inscriptions.
That's an interesting take, actually. AI is going to trade NFTs. It's going to be the quant of NFTs because there is a lot of qualitative data that comes with that, not just numbers.
Very, very true. I mean, they're going to blow humans away in the kind of numbers they'll be doing in trades.
Cool. As long as they're trading my bags, and let's bring them in. You know, it's interesting you brought up indexes. It's something we talk at Emblem a lot. Just using, I'll use Pepe for an example here. It's funny, I kind of noticed this in all the new inscription, at least the kind of like relevant ones. They all have a Punks inscription collection. They all have a Pepe BRC20 kind of token. So if you could create a vault that has an index of different Pepes, right? You could take some Pepe for ETH, some Pepe from BRC20, DRC20, LTC20, SRC20, etc. Put them all in a vault, and you can kind of track it as an index like that. Issue some tokens against it. A lot of different opportunities in 2024.
Very, very true. But we're also looking at the tokenization of everything else. Eventually, it'll be real estate. It'll be Tesla stocks, Amazon stocks, the new startups that'll come in around that won't even touch the stock market. You'll be able to store a variety of assets in these NFTs that AI will be able to, your personal AI is going to buy real estate for you in Brazil without you knowing about it. I mean, you look at what Lightning Network is doing and integrating AI wallets into Lightning. That solution is almost there already.
I did not know that. I'm not familiar with that. How does that work?
They have, I don't know if it's an SDK or just a way for you to assign a Lightning address to your AI preference. And obviously now when your AI has a Bitcoin address to make transactions with, you can then add on a plethora of other things onto it. It can start making trades for you. You can buy assets for you. You can buy this and that for you. You can go shopping for you.
I love that, man. AI, it's the future, brother.
It's two crypto trends that I did not even participate in was the Telegram trading bots and the crypto AI tokens. Those are two things I literally have zero knowledge about, although I watched. Also, maybe rat racing was one that I didn't, or hamster racing.
Hamster racing.
Hamster racing. Yeah. I wonder if that's still around. I have no idea.
Let's wrap it up. I actually got another space right now.
Adam's late. All right, here. Let me wrap this up. This is the last show of the year. For those that don't know, Adam, myself, and Chris, we started this show back in January, right? So this is our 81st episode of the year. What an incredible time. The first space we host, I think, had like 10 people in it. We were like, we have a lot of followers. We'll hit it big. No, it took a year to get to where we are today, 2-3 times per week. We're really grateful for everyone who's joined us along this journey, who's listened, who's joined us on stage. It's been a crazy 2023 for Emblem Vault, for Bitcoin, right? For inscriptions, for, I guess, retail even, right? Retail's kind of found its new playground to play with. Make sure that you follow all of us on stage. Follow Adam, Emblem, myself, Chris. We work at Emblem Vault. We have a lot of big things coming in 2024, including Emblem Markets, which is a chain agnostic marketplace and platform for multi-chain products. Yeah, that has been it's a tongue twister. We still have a lot of work to do on our end as well. It's going to be a very, very exciting year. We host the show Tuesday through Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. The first show of the year is going to be .sats. We're going to have the creator of .sats, a bunch of key community members, and we're going to talk about one of the most trending namespaces, not just on Bitcoin, but across all of the namespaces in general. Art Jedi, NFT, Kane, everybody who's on stage. Really appreciate you guys. Everyone, have a safe and fun New Year's. Be sure that you follow the Emblem sales bot that we have pinned to the top. The sales bot's going to be important and only continue to grow. Kane, any final words before we close up here?
Yeah, for your last show, I would like you to address a rumor that I have heard about Emblem Vault that Chris told me that the success of this show is mainly because he has his actual handsome picture in the PFP. What was he brings the sexual magic to this program? Not quite sure what that meant, but he said it. Any comment?
We can neither confirm nor deny these allegations.
Yeah, Chris and I, man.
That's verified truth.
You should see this guy as he was running Win nightclub, talking with all of the top key whales in the entire world, out here in Las Vegas, man. You should see him in person. But I guess you have to come visit us down here in Sin City, Kane, and make that a 2024. All right, here we go. All right, appreciate everyone, man. What a fun space. Adam, get to your space. Make sure you guys go follow Adam as well, so you could go hear him shill some more stuff about L's Coin. Until then, guys, have a safe new year. We'll see you on the 2nd.